What is up, everybody? I'm No Lex Given, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game where I grab a 4.1 Holy Grail. That might even be too early for this treasure normally, though in this one we're going to be playing Skip the Time Skipper, and with that bonus XP we will be able to make perfect use of all of that gold. We're also off to a really strong start with this game. My opponent does not pick up a character on turn 1, and then we have to pick up Trojan Donkey plus Falling Stars for turn 2. So that should make us strong enough to win this second combat as well. I think the Fates was looking for a better character to get fated to with that free roll, and they're being a little bit greedy with it, which is fine. I like to play the Fates like that sometimes as well, but it benefits us here as Skip the Time Skipper, and sometimes I think people might be more willing to make that play on the Fates when they see that they're up against a Skip, which I always appreciate, because then we don't have to take any damage, they don't have to take any damage, and we can both do some silly things. On turn 3, we get to pick up a Lucky, which is always nice to be able to pick up some econ on Skip. I think that the one thing that can potentially hold Skip back is, like, you look at this turn, it was 4.0, or 4 gold rather, 3.1, typically 2.2, and we could only pick up one character from the shop, where everybody else is getting to pick up 2 characters this turn. So Lucky's definitely going to help on the econ, and then Trojan Donkey's going to help us not lose these combats, and also help give us a little bit of econ, as Trojan Donkey's Ogre Princess gives us a second Lucky. So a really lucky and strong start to this game. I will say I got maybe a little bit overwhelmed, and for some reason decided to buy and sell the baby dragon, which did absolutely nothing there before casting the Candy Rain. I should have just used my extra gold to roll after casting the Candy Rain, and then maybe it could have locked onto something. It's probably not a huge deal. We're about to go into 4.0 anyways, but I don't know. It just, the gold worked out, and I tricked my brain somehow, but that's fine. We all make mistakes, and we are still really strong. Now, we are actually going to take some damage. Unfortunately, this will not be a perfect Skip game. It was looking like it could have been. That would be crazy. That's something that I've definitely never done, but on 4.0, we get to pick up 2 characters for free because of our Luckies. We also get to pick up a Cinderella and an XP spell. And it's 4.0, and we're not buying any level 4 characters. That's totally fine. It's not really 4.0, it's 3.1. Our board is still really strong compared to the rest of the lobby, and we are up an entire level on the gang. So that is partially how we are really going to make use of that 4.1 Holy Grail. I won't spoil anything more than that, but you can do the math if you've seen me play other early Holy Grail games before to figure out how exactly we're going to get there. Luckies are putting in great work right now, and our Humpty Dumpty is going to be enough to allow us to grab the win here. Trojan Donkey still doing some work, and then this is an absolutely incredible 4.2 pickup. Remember, this is still 3.2, so kind of insane how powerful this board is, but we get discounts on 2 level 4 characters, a Lady of the Lake, a Friendly Spirit, and then we also have to sell one thing, but we can pick up a Juliet, and that goes along well with our Romeo, and then I'm even going to sell off that Trojan Donkey and cast a Luna's Grace onto the Brave Princess. We only need one more Slay on Brave Princess, so giving it +3/+3 now that the lobby is getting a little bit stronger, I think will definitely be beneficial, and that also ticks down my Cinderella and just gets us a little bit closer to activating that and grabbing a treasure there. I generally do pursue treasures pretty highly, or questing characters rather, pretty highly on Skip, because it costs a lot to triple your characters, and sometimes you can't afford to do that. Now, this game we kind of have all of the econ going on with the Luckies, so maybe we could, but regardless, we're going to grab the treasure from our Brave Princess. That's just going to be fancy pants for this turn. We're at 5.0, so none of those other treasures were particularly looking exciting, and giving +3/+3 to Southern Siren seems pretty good. I'm also going to pick up the Romeo because it only costs 1, and then I will wind up rolling twice and finding another Southern Siren. I'm going to use Forbidden Fruit to help me pick that up, and I will have to sell 2 things. So I think it's time to say goodbye to the Luckies at this point, but still looking really, really strong here with a pair of Southern Sirens and a pair of Romeos. And you might be able to guess, I mean, we got to pick up that Holy Grail next turn to fulfill the promise of this video. And you might be thinking how I'm going to do that is by tripling Romeo and then tripling the Southern Siren. How we actually get it is a little bit crazier. We steal my opponent's Brave Princess and then slay with that. That's going to give us the treasure map, and then we'll wind up tripling those Southern Sirens still on our next turn. But just a lot of very lucky things going on in this one. We'll definitely take a free treasure map. That's pretty sweet. We just have to make sure we don't cast a spell right now. I'm just looking for tier 5 characters. I see the free roll, but we don't want to cast that because that would activate Cinderella and give us a tier 4 treasure. But nope, we're going for the tier 5 one. I'll triple up on this Southern Siren here, give it a little bit more fancy pants, and then we can pick up the Holy Grail. And what's nice about this, despite it being a 4.1 Holy Grail, like I said, we've got all that extra XP from Skip. We also bought a Turkish Delight. Next turn's going to be 5.2. So I want to start off next turn by finding an XP spell. That's going to be what I am rolling for only. So what I'm going to do, and this is kind of silly, I'm going to hover my cursor over the spell slot in the shop, and I'm just looking at where it has to go. I'll move it off the screen so you guys can see the combat because it's a little bit annoying, but this is a pretty cute, I think, technique just to be aware of. Keep your cursor over where those spells are going to populate in the store, and that way you can just laser focus right on there. Mix-a-Whizzle, no. Turkish Delight, yes. Okay, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, yeah, just we got there, and now we'll try to make the best use of the rest of the turn. Gonna sell off the rest of my hand, and now just look for as many tier 6 characters as I can to possibly pick up. I will say that I picked up the, we had the Cinderella already, but the main thing that I was looking for from the Cinderella treasure was Piggy Bank. And because of that, I am somewhat interested still in picking up another tier 2 treasure from Golden Chickens and potentially having another look at finding a Piggy Bank. So that's why you'll see me picking up the Golden Chickens during a Holy Grail turn. Unfortunately, we don't get there. That would have been insane to have a 4.1 Holy Grail plus Piggy Bank. We still grabbed a few other characters, didn't go so far as much in the way of trees, but we also grabbed XP this turn. We're 4 XP up on the rest of the lobby, and we've got the start to a pretty good board here. We picked up that Green Knight at the very end of the turn, so I didn't have time to move Lancelot in front of that Green Knight, but we can do that this turn and activate that pretty easily. We can also pick up another Echo Wood, and then I did grab a Gumblegore. A lot of times when I am Holy Grailing, I will just pick up trees and just hyper roll and focus on trees, though this time was a little bit different, and I just figured, okay, I'm going to take what I can get. I see a good boy, I'm going to take that. We can build into some treasures from that with Lancelot and Hercules, and we also found some other synergies. I did start with Green Knight. That was the first character that I picked up on the Holy Grail turn because that is a tree, and I definitely would have picked up Ashwood Elms and Burning Trees had I found them, but I just spent too much time dirtling around and doing some other stuff. We also tripled up the Romeo. I feel like, to be honest, I was looking for treasure map there, even though I couldn't find it because I already used it from my opponent's Brave Princess. But that's fine. We're still in a really, really great position here. We're going to grab the tier 5 treasure from Lancelot now, and we have a ridiculously strong board for this stage of the game, 5.1, and this is the board that we're looking at, and we'll add to that even further, picking up a Horn of Olympus. I don't know if I want to toss Sting or the Fancy Pants. They're kind of close. Sting is good with the good boy that we currently have, though Fancy Pants is good if we were to buy more good boys or more Empress Peas, so I could see that one going either way. Going to wind up picking up an Echo Wood after that, and kind of like a similar decision on this one. Mimic Chest, I don't think is super powerful right now. It will definitely give us priority in attacking first, though Embiggening Stone would be good if we're able to find more Good Boys or Empress Peas. I do think that there is still some merit to picking up the Mimic Chest, because there's other powerful treasures that we could double up on down the line, like Evil Eye. We kind of looked at that yesterday, or just any tier 6 treasure to go along with Good Boy. So pick up the Mimic Chest, and I think we're still in a really, really strong position here with an upgraded Echo Wood. We are actually strong enough that we are not going to be like losing our Good Boy immediately. It attacks and doesn't even die, and then eventually everything winds up dying, including this Wonder Waddle. I think a few turns ago, our this turn too, our Echo Wood got attacked into before our Good Boy could even die, despite the fact that we've got double attack priority to try to kill off our own Good Boy. So pretty silly. I'm gonna wind up dreaming here, and I find the mask as the dream target, so probably could have sold off one more thing in my hand just to make some room, and we'll wind up only getting one. It was all a dream out of that. A little bit awkward, but still in a really, really fantastic spot. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention to the last combat. Is this 6.0? You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and check. Let's just go back. The last one, wow, the last one was 5.1. So this is 5.2. The lobby isn't even on 6.0 yet, and we have this board. So I think we're doing all right. I won't sweat some of the smaller mistakes in this game, like the baby dragon play and not making room for all of my dreams here, because we are just doing such incredible stuff at this point in the game. And I don't think this will be a kill. I think my opponent will still survive here with a decent amount of health. Yeah, these last remaining players in the lobby still have a little bit of health to work with, but that's okay. Let's dream and see what else we can get into, and it's got to be Zelhua. We just looked at Zelhua yesterday, actually, but I don't see me activating Morgan at this point in the game. We're just too far ahead, so I'm just going to dream into Zelly, and that will give me enough stuff to a lot of spending gold here, basically, is what we're going for. I pick up a pair of 9 Sea Terrors, and Hand of Midas is cool. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that I don't go for it, but part of the issue with it was I did want to pick up this Echo Wood, and I didn't actually think it was worth losing the boots for an upgraded Echo Wood, because I don't really care that Echo Wood is upgraded. I just care about having a second Echo Wood. Now, against the Ghost, I'm just going to play Lancelot, because Lancelot has some scaling attached to it, so we'll just grab a bigger Lancelot kind of for free. Even if I'm not expecting to use that in my final comp, it just seemed worth it to play it for this turn. But yeah, I didn't want to have an upgraded Echo Wood. What I want to have is an upgraded Good Boy. So I am going to wind up going for this Knighthood here. Now, maybe this is a mistake as well, because we're playing Zelhua, so I could have just rolled a few times, and maybe not this turn, but maybe next turn, had an upgraded Good Boy and a tier 6 treasure to show for it anyways. But I think that it's a fine use of gold, all things considered. Upgrading Good Boy is just a ton of stats, and that'll get in there with our first attack and be pretty strong for us getting to pump up the rest of the board. So I like my position from here for the most part, but yeah, I mean, we could afford to make some mistakes. I think now we're on 6.0. I kind of lost track of it all in the commentary, but this is either... No, this is 6.1, right? Our 6.0 was up against the Ghost. So 6.1, and we're already in the finals here, and you can see we are considerably more powerful than my opponent. They do have one Medusa to scam us, though. Echo Wood's going to take care of that, and they have some nice treasures. Crystal Ball, Forking Rod, Boiling Beaker, plus an Aeon, but we just have way too much of a lead here. We're not going to give my opponent much breathing room, and then I'm going to pick up some more Good Boys and really punish my opponent here. I decide to play I'm messing around figuring out if I want to play a second Gumblegore or a bunch more good boys, and honestly I could see going either way with that as well. I could also see playing Lady of the Lake just because it's a ranged unit, and then it might just be better than a Green Knight, and that was part of the reason I was considering Gumblegore as well. But yeah, this is what we're going to wind up with, and I'm going to lock on to this Evil Twin as well. That way we can triple up on either Good Boy or Green Knight, probably the Good Boy, and then grab another tier 6 treasure here. Because my opponent is playing Medusa, I actually make one more last second change and decide to play all good characters. So that way, if Medusa attacks into my Empress P, then all of my backline characters are still getting buffed up from Good Boy. So that was the plan there, and it worked out pretty well. However, Medusa still does a ton of work for my opponent. It means that they only take, 7 damage down to 8. So we will get to make use of this Evil Twin in the shop. I'm going to pick up another copy of Good Boy, and that allows me to pick up some Ivory Owls, and this means I'm not going for the first attack. I then get taunted by a pair of Jumping Beans there, but I think that this is also going to be really strong. +4/+4 to both of my Good Boys, and the rest of my team also means that Echo Wood is starting off the combat pretty large, and I don't have to worry about it just getting attacked into randomly. I do think we could probably get away with playing one Boomhilda in all of this just to make my board have a little bit more attack. There was a little bit too many times where we had to like double attack with some of my backline characters, which I think also might have cost me that last combat, but with one Boomhilda in here, I think we're doing pretty good. My opponent's Medusa does scam my good boy, so that's a pretty good scam, but my Echo Wood is just insanely big, and the fact that they're scamming my good boy means they're not scamming my Echo Wood, and we're able to take the win. Really sweet game. 4.1 Holy Grail. 4.2 Holy Grail is when it actually activated, but we picked it up on 4.1, and that's maybe a little bit better of clickbait. And then the rest of the lobby dead by, what was that, 6.2, 6.3 maybe by the end of it. But just absolutely crazy stuff, and that's going to be it for me today, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace.